Federal prosecutors in Nevada have dismissed a sex abuse case against Nathan Chasinghorse. The dismissal of the federal case was granted last Tuesday. The charges against the former Dances with Wolves actor in that case included 2 counts of sexual exploitation of children. Prosecutors moved to dismiss the case without prejudice, meaning the charges could have been refiled back on September 27th. That's the day after the Nevada Supreme Court ordered the dismissal of another indictment against Chasinghorse, which was finalized late last Friday. The federal charges stem from the same allegations that led to Chasinghorse's now dismissed state indictment.